Rahim. And just to quickly introduce to you what this topic will be about. Remember that Tazkiya, whatever we've learnt so far in the Masjid, in the class, in the classroom, Tazkiya explains to us that it's the foundational subject which helps and supports all the other teaching and learning that we learn in Islamic studies, especially when it comes to Iman, especially when it comes to our faith and purifying ourselves, our character, behavior, morals, ethics, whichever words we would want to use. But as Muslims and Islamic teachings, which we have received for centuries after the prophets, after the blessed companions, we have a structural system where we can learn how to develop our character and our faith. This is known as Tazkiya. But our aim of this session will be that by the end of this lesson, we should be able to discover the whole history and our whole journey of life. To know our story, which is the basis of self-purification. If we know where we come from, alhamdulillah, we can understand why we need to purify ourselves and what's to come ahead. Students will understand the need of self-purification and what their purpose of life is. So I'm just going to request in the group that whoever joins, please confirm here. Hopefully, inshallah, soon we'll be able to set up a conference kind of classroom, which will be very, very better and fruitful for our purpose. So let's get starting. Let's get cracking straight away. Alhamdulillah, some of these slides, and I have to say that you might have seen before, or some of the lessons might seem that it's a recap or a revision, but this is great. This is always good. It's always beneficial. So we'll play the slides. We'll ask questions as we go along. So feel free to post in any question you want on the Alim class group. I have my phone beside, and we'll just have to work like this for now. That's fine. So we've got Arman, we've got Faizan. Alhamdulillah, great. So following the screen, after today, we'll have learned where we come from, what we did in our previous life. And I'm going to go through this a little bit quick because we have learned it quite a few times, alhamdulillah. But recap and a reminder always benefits the believer. And we're going to remind ourselves that why we are here now on earth and in this world, and why we have to obey Allah in this life and do our tazkiyah. And what is tazkiyah? Purification, exactly. And what happens after death in the grave, and what will be our eternal end. So all of these points are called, in one diagrammatic form, the journey of man, which you remember we had done the back-to-back activity in the class quite recently, where we were telling each student to sit back-to-back and draw as the other student described to you what they saw on the screen. And many of us drew very wonderful things. So this is that diagram we're going to quickly go through in a different way using our presentation and slides. So in Surah Shams is a surah of the Quran, Surah 91. And in the future, I will also message in the group earlier on if there are any tools or any items which you might can be of helpfulness. For example, like if you had your English Quran with you now, you can easily open Surah 91 and see exactly which verse I'm mentioning. So as we go along, we'll try to be more productive in the digital class as well. And you also from your side give your input. We'll take feedback and we'll improve from there as well. So in Surah Shams, Allah swears 11 times. By swearing, we mean taking qasam. And by taking qasam, we mean emphasizing a point. When somebody wants to emphasize a point, it's very common in different languages, for example, in Arabic, including Urdu, that even in English, but it was previously used very, very commonly. And in the language when Arabic was sent down, the Quran was sent down in that local Arabic, this was a big, big statement, the way Allah swore. Because Allah swore, meaning took qasam, by the heaven, by the earth, by the skies that you can see, by the earth that you are on, by the clouds that are above you, but nobody is holding them up, but only Allah. There's no pillars holding them up. And Allah has also said, I swear by the nafs which I created, the human person, and the understanding that I have given. Meaning, whatever we are thinking now, whatever we can understand, the logic that we have, the mind that we have, it is given by Allah, it's been given by our Creator. So Allah is even making a promise, a qasam, by the intellect that we have. He said, by the qasam of the intellect, by the qasam of the thinking process that you have. I am saying something very, very big. I'm about to say something really, really big. And what was it that he was about? He says, after the 11th verse, after 11 times emphasizing the great important points, what is it? It is that Allah declares that the person who is going to purify his soul, he will be greatly successful. And the person who pollutes and corrupts himself will fail. Allah mentions this in the Quran in Surah Shams, number 91. Today's lesson is directly linked to our purpose of life. So each lesson will tell us that how, whatever we are learning, how does it relate to us? How does it relate to me? What's it got to do with me today? It's very good that I'm learning, but how does it relate to my existence? So today's lesson is directly linked to our purpose of existence, because only when we know our history, our background as humans, where we come from, and the reason that we have been sent on this earth, will we then have the thirst and the want to fulfill our purpose. Only then we will want to please Allah. Only then, because when we know something closely, only then you can have value of something. So follow through. Everyone can see? Just give a yes, please, in the group if you can see the journey of man now. The picture where you can see the picture of Jannah, Jahannam, and my cursor moving around the screen. Just give a yes or a yes. The group, please. Okay, that's a yes from Arman, so I presume Faizan, you can also see, and whoever else is tuned in. So this yellow section is just a diagrammatic form, this whole picture here, but it's actually a summary of the whole message of the Quran and a summary of all the teachings of all the previous prophets, including Prophet Adam, Noah, Idris, Prophet Musa. Thank you. Welcome, Shariat. Prophet Musa, Prophet Isa, Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Jesus, Prophet Moses, Prophet Abraham. All of the prophets taught this in their own time, that there was a period when you didn't exist. Then Allah created you in the world of spirits. You made a promise with your Lord, a covenant. You have been sent onto this earth to prove what you promised, and we are here for a short period until we pass away. So obviously this place is not the permanent residence, it's a place of test, and we will be raised back up into the world of spirits, which is basically the grave. When we are buried, our bodies are in the ground, but our spirits are experiencing either reward or something not very nice, the opposite of reward. Even if a person kind of doesn't believe, you might have heard when people say, I was in a conference last weekend and somebody was talking about Steve Jobs, the maker of, or the designer, inventor of iPhones, smartphones, or the contributor towards smartphones and smart technology. And somebody said Steve Jobs said the thing, may God rest his soul. So this was his statement, may God rest his soul. And he wasn't Muslim. He was actually Jewish, the speaker on the stage in the conference. But he was saying, may God rest his soul. So all Christians, Jewish people, and Muslims are Abrahamic faiths. We all believe that after life there is a death, which is unanimous. So these are the teachings of all the prophets, that all the people of divinely revealed scriptures that were sent to. Welcome, Hamza. Welcome. So in the world of barzakh, we have a life, then we are raised in the day of judgment, then there's the final place where only purified souls experience bliss. In Jannah, there are such things where no eye has yet seen, no mind has yet thought of, no heart has yet felt that joy. There are such things which are everlasting. Everlasting. Youth will stay forever. Age and old weakness. There is a young weakness when a person is a child growing in the early years. He is in need of parents or the elders who are supporting him. He can't have his own sense of thinking. They usually don't know what to do. They will put anything in their mouth which comes in front of them. They need help with toilet, etc. Similarly, in old age, when a person becomes very, very old, sometimes this is the case. They need help with feeding. They might have become very weak and old aged. They might not remember things. They might forget easily. But in paradise, there is no one who will come to that state. Everybody will experience youth and they will remain young. Young, by young, I mean in their mid-20s, 30s. They'll be fresh at a good ripened age. However, in the opposite of paradise, hellfire, those people will enter there whose souls were not purified. People who died without believing altogether, non-Muslims, non-believers, they will enter there and stay forever and ever, unfortunately, because they had the opportunity to believe in the king and in his reward. But because they didn't believe in the king and his reward, then there's no reward expected from the king. However, the believers, when Prophet Adam came, when Prophet Jesus came, when Prophet Moses came, those people who believed with them, Prophet Noah came, those people who followed Prophet Noah, they will also be in paradise. They will also be in paradise. But those who have passed away now, or will in the future, they will not get a second chance, no return. So we have learned our history, that we came from a world of spirits with a promise. We are here for a test and we have something to do in order to get a reward, which is eternal, or there is also an eternal punishment if we ultimately fail. However, Muslims with some sins, Muslims with bad deeds from the eyes, from the ears, missing prayers, different kinds of sins, big or small, if they didn't ask for forgiveness, they didn't repent, they didn't get forgiven in the grave or before on the earth or on the judgment, they will have to go for a long, like a prison sentence. People go, they get cleared, they come out, and they live a normal life now. In a similar way, people will go for prisoning, you can say. But it's not easy. It's easy in this world, but it's not easy there. So let's move on. Alhamdulillah, you're all aware of that. That was just a quick recap within 5-6 minutes. What's your date of birth? What's your date of birth? I'm sure you know your date of birth. But do we know the date we will go from here? We don't know the date that we will go from here. When you were born on the earth, in the 2000s, in the 1900s, whatever the date is, after or before the recent millennium, is that the actual date you were born and you were created? That's not the actual date you were created. We have been living centuries before coming on the earth. What was it that was living centuries? I was born as a baby. So how have I been living centuries? You might be asking. Why has Allah created you? What was the purpose of other creations? What's the purpose of our existence? These are all, you could say, philosophical questions of philosophy or religion, but it's very, very important. These are also questions of aqidah. These are also questions of thought which everybody has in the back of their mind. Their soul has this questioning, but the way they reason for themselves and give themselves answers is different. What is the correct answer? Only the Creator can tell you. So why have we been created? What's the purpose? We all know very well, alhamdulillah. We're going to move on a little bit with a bit more speed. The period of non-existence is when nothing existed. No sky, no sun, no moon, no bird, animal, river, no mountain, nothing around that we can see around us was existing. Similarly, neither angels, nor paradise, hell, nor the other spiritual things like the throne of Allah, the divine chair, the kursi, the sacred tablet. Which tablet am I referring to? I'm referring to the Lawh Mahfuz, which we learned a little bit about in Aqidah, that there's a special tablet which has knowledge of all things, which Allah Himself knows in totality. And the pen which Allah created, which writes the destiny of people. It's not the pen that we think of pen when we hear the word pen, and it's not a tablet that the tablet we think of when we hear the word tablet, but it's a special spiritual creation of Allah, which is above this, out of this earth, beyond the heavens. Okay, these things were not created or existing by themselves. Allah created them. There was a time when only Allah existed. Before He created any of this, it was only Him, and He's uncreated. Allah created the whole of the universe, including human and jinn, only to know, recognition, and worship of Him. He doesn't want to be. He didn't need to be recognized, but He wanted that people can be attached to me, so that I can bestow them reward. So really, He wanted to favor us, and that's out of His love and His right to be known. He had a right, and He has rights, and one of His rights is that He's the King. He can be known if He wants, and He wanted to be known from that angle, that He wanted to favor us. He wanted a creation who I can also bestow, and life which will last forever. Allah is forever, but He wanted we can also live, so we can live forever. Is everyone following? I just want a quick yes or no in the group, please. Is everyone following so far? Everyone understanding? Any questions so far? Just type yes if you're okay, and type in any question if you have any question. That'll be fine. We'll carry on. So this is the reason why we cannot live the kind of life that we desire from our own self. If somebody desires to live a thank you. We've got Sharial giving a yes so far. That's fine. Continue. Arman, that's yes. Okay. So why can I not live? I'm gonna have to say this, but why can I not live a life like a punk life? Why can I not live a life which is a life of just pop, rock and roll, or which is anything completely sinful? By sinful, I mean which is haram lifestyle. Away from Allah's lifestyle, the lifestyle which is the righteous, guided one. Why can I not live the way I want to live? I mean, my desires want to live. If I go to a certain background where there is company of evil people, I will automatically want to do those kind of things. So I desire it. I want to do it. I have the power to do it. Why can't I do it? Why can I not live? The question of why do I have to check my sweets when I buy them from the shop that they're halal and not haram? I mean, why? We're not asking why for the sake of I don't want to do it, but we're asking why to know and to learn that what is the actual reason that we have this thing called choice and a test. The answer to the why is because we didn't create ourselves. If we had created our own selves, we can do what we want. But because we didn't create ourselves, it was Allah, the maker of all creation, who created us as well as a creation to serve Him. Therefore, we should live the life according to the way of the Creator, the lifestyle that He wills for us, that what He wants for us to live. This is the only way that we can become successful. I recently bought a new car. It has an instruction manual. If I follow those manuals, I was looking through it, and it was highly recommended to follow. If I follow through it and live by it, alhamdulillah, I will be mostly successful. If I don't live by it and I go around what they call joyriding, which is something not good to do, not nice to do, I will eventually damage some parts of the vehicle, whether it's a crash, hopefully not, God forbid, or internally I will damage something. I will misuse it. I will use it wrongly. I will overheat it. I will overburn it. I will do something wrong. Similarly with the phone, similarly with the fridge, with the microwave, with the TV, everything electronical, anything that human puts together comes with the instruction manual. We have been put together. Our manual is the Quran. It's the Quran. Open it, look to it, read it, try to understand it. Look to the explanation, ask about it, ask the explanation. You will come to know that it's only in our favor and it's only better and wishing good for us. There were 4 covenants. I want you to make note of this. You should have a notepad, inshallah. If you have your own mobile phones, I can recommend you to go into the notepad or any kind of app which you use notes for, which is productive. It's good. Okay, I recommend it. But something which you do keep to look at, and you can keep for your own notes on something which you can email yourself. And I will email these slides to your preferred emails, or if you wish, I will send it to the group WhatsApp class, the Alim class group now, which you are messaging through. So we'll think about that, which way you'd like to keep the communication, whichever is easiest for all people. So I will send the slides, definitely, especially for those who attended. You deserve it well, and you can have all the notes. But anywhere where you have your questions, anywhere where you want to make your notes, feel free definitely to take the notes. And one should also be thinking that when I am learning, how can I learn so I can teach others? How can I learn to pass on the knowledge? After mastering it, after learning it very well, you should be able to deliver your own presentation in a short form. A good way to think of it is, imagine that I am putting a task on you from today, from this very moment, that you have a presentation to do in an assembly in front of your whole school, or at least your year, your class. How would you do? How would you do this level of teaching? How would you pass on to others in a very simple format? Or if I was to say to you that you have to deliver or present to year fives, primary school, how would you do? Or year six, how would you do? You would choose simple words. You will choose easy manner of deliverance. You would probably put pictures. So think about that, how you can pass this knowledge on to others. It's very good to be creative and it's helpful. We'll move on, inshallah. And we are planning to close this before 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. So we will continue by summarizing these 4 covenants that we took. The first one is the assembly of the world of spirits. When all the spirits were gathered, Allah asked us, "Am I not your Lord?" Every single spirit responded. That's why every single person is in a test, male or female. Unless if they are mentally disabled. If they are born mentally disabled or any kind of disability where they're not able to fulfill that test, for example, losing the mind is mentally disabled, or physically handicapped, then they won't be. They're not being tested to perform their physical duties. However, if they still have sense, they have aql, they still have to pray prayers because they're still in a test. Their test is just a little bit different. Rather, their test there is for other people who are around them. Perhaps I would say family members, relatives, although guardians who are looking after them. That's their test, and they are going to win and please Allah through them, through the disabled family relatives. Their test of winning, their chance of winning is through their family members. So there is no loss for anyone. Everybody is tested in their own level. But we all took that promise. The second covenant was that Allah, we will be loyal to you in whatever way you test us. Yep, so everyone will be tested differently. Third thing is that the Muhammadan covenant, all the prophets were gathered here. Prophet Jesus, Moses, Yahya, Yusuf, Yaqub, every prophet, Prophet Adam, all the way to the final prophet before Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Isa, all of them, peace be upon them all, they all promised Allah that we will promise to deliver the message of Muhammad. And they did. In the Bible, Prophet Muhammad comes. In the Hindu scriptures, Prophet Muhammad comes. It's proven by experts in the field of comparative religion, such as Peace TV and different kind of experts. They have worked on this field. A person can do their research in their time. And in the Jewish scriptures, the Old Testament, Prophet Muhammad can be mentioned. And there's a Gospel of Barnabas. I'd like you to note that down, which you've heard about it before. We talked about it a few times. But we should try and get hold of this just for reference, in our future time. You can get it and have it in your home library or something. And the fourth thing is the covenant of obedience. That, oh Allah, we will abide by your command and not follow shaitan. This is in Surah Yasin. Alam a'had ilaykum ya bani Adam, Allah ta'budu shaitan, innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. O Bani Adam, O children of Adam, will you not follow shaitan? You won't follow shaitan, will you? I did promise you that you won't follow shaitan. So Allah is telling us the future. He will say this on the Day of Judgment. That, oh, children of Adam, didn't I promise you? Didn't you promise from me that you're not going to follow shaitan? But some on the Day of Judgment, as we know, some will be separated and followed shaitan, and some would have followed Allah's will and not their evil desires. So this is the background of Tazkiya. We took these 4 promises from Allah. Here is a picture form showing that the whole of the nature, meaning the whole of the creation, basically, including animals, birds, flies, insects, mountains, rivers, lake, trees. People think about nature, Mother Nature. I'm trying to connect with the nature. I'm just meditating, or I perform different kind of meditations, just the nature. But they deny God. They deny God, or they might think of an existing being out there who is supreme being, but they just refer it back to the universe. The universe is helping me out there. Nature is forming its own existence. However, all of the nature was presented this covenant, where Allah says in the scriptures that we presented an amana that everybody wants to take the free will? Does everybody want to have a free will? And only human beings took it. So that was where the spirits were gathered, and human beings took the free will, the role of being able to choose good or bad. So we said, yes, Allah, you are our Lord, and we were given the free will. So we have a freedom to choose. We promised Allah that we'll follow Him. So this is why Allah sent us with a body in the world to testify in this world what we had testified in the world of spirits. All of the prophets were gathered. As you can see some Arabic names there. There's Adam, Yahya, Al-Yas'a, that's the name of another prophet. Prophet Noah, Saleh, Ibrahim, Isaac, Shu'aib, Isa, Musa. All of these were gathered and they were shown the blessed spirit, the blessed light of Prophet Muhammad and all of the names of Prophet. And all of them in the world of spirits took a promise to Allah. This is the Quranic ayat, by the way. I'd want to give you reference and we're going to learn this. So I'm going to put it in the notes section. I'm going to put the reference in the notes section on the YouTube page somehow. I'm going to put the references there so we can remember them, make note of them, and I want you to learn them, inshallah, so we can make memorization of them and use this for your own presentations and for delivering your own, short talks and for your own knowledge as well. You should know where they come from and how they are proven from the Quran. Allah asked all of the prophets that when I will send you, I will give you a book and I will give you wisdom, as prophets are the most wise people and intelligent people. And you promise me that you shall believe in him, Muhammad, and you will help him, Prophet Muhammad. And he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do you agree, O prophets, O my prophets? And do you accept the responsibility which I lay upon you in this matter? They said, yes, Allah, we agree. He said, then bear witness, and I am with you amongst the witness. So on the day of judgment, even the prophets also are tested. The prophets will be questioned that did you fulfill your task role? But they all did fulfill the task role to the best level that they did. And Allah will reward them. May Allah reward them and be peace upon them on the day of judgment and in this world and the hereafter, and make us be amongst them too, the followers of them. So this was the fourth one where Allah, did I not enjoin upon you, children of Adam, that you won't follow shaitan? This is in Surah Yasin. Okay, I will put the references at the end so you can also keep a note of them. Where we are now in the world is the temporal world of dunya. The spirit has been sent in this world for a short period of time as a test. It's been given a body which has different types of needs and desires. So what is the test? Any idea? Somebody post in, somebody type in, any idea? Or what are your first ideas? What's coming to your mind from whatever we've learned so far? Whatever you know, post in. You can write a paragraph if you wish, so everyone can see the fellows, classmates' posts as well. Please post in the Alim class group. What are the tests? What are the needs? What are the desires? Are you still with me? Are we still following? Type 3 suggestions. Okay, so we have to make sure we keep the promise we made to Allah. Excellent. That is the test. There will be obstacles. In order to make sure, there will be challenges. What are the possible challenges? What are some of the obstacles that might come? Hamza, is Hamza still with us? Is Faizan still with us? As you type, I will continue as well. Death is a challenge? Interesting. Death is an obstacle? Interesting. The spirit will continue on, but you are right in a way, well done, because death will end the test. After we pass away, we're no longer having this worldly test. We're not in this jungle of obstacles. We're not in this jungle where we are being tested, where there's going to be a grudge, a friction, an opposite. Okay, you're in the YouTube tab. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not able to view right now because we're just using this format. So if you could please type just here in the group, then we'll start the YouTube tab from tomorrow, or we'll set up a different perhaps maybe if you could join in with the audio, or perhaps just chat. To be able to stay patient. That's right. You're right. In all ways, whatever you've all said, you're all right. There's nothing wrong in there. The tests of life will consist of patience, of are we able to fulfill what we promised? Are we... Thank you very much for sharing the link. That's great. So that's the Gospel of Barnabas shared for people to as a reference. That's right. The test is, does the person, here's the answer now, does the person use their body to obey the command of Allah Ta'ala and follow the way of the messenger of Allah? Peace be upon him. That's it. That's the test. Use your body and mind, of course, and heart and soul to follow the way of the messenger. That's the biggest test. Everyone in the world is facing this test. They're following a messenger, the messenger's way, or opposite. Regardless if the whole of the world, regardless if most of the people are following an opposite path, if one person follows the way of the messenger, that one person is successful. He will be, his reward is with Allah. He will not be left out. He will get his reward. And if all of the people of the world begin to follow the way of the messenger, but even one person doesn't follow, that one person will be questioned for himself. That how come you didn't follow? So everybody is individually being tested. I just want to highlight this point too. Everybody individually is being tested, regardless of what the collective circumstances are in the society. But generally, everybody is being tested regarding this. Do they obey Allah? Do they follow the messenger's footsteps? So we should collectively try to build an atmosphere where everybody is living a life of sin-free, away from sins, and everyone's living a life of sunnah and piety and righteousness, and encouraging and helping each other, living a fruitful, prosperous, quality life. This is one of the purposes as well, and that's also Islamic. Or will he follow the devil and his own desires? That's the test. Devil and your own desires, or Allah and his messenger? As it's proven from the Quran, this is in Surah Mulk, chapter number 76. Allah says, it is he who has created life and death to see which amongst you is the best in doing good deeds. Who does good deeds? And the best of good deeds, ahsanu amala, is to follow Allah and his messenger. Remember this diagram? Yes or yes? I'm sure you do. This is an average. If anyone is watching, if anyone is viewing and this is new for you, and this is a very, very eye-opening representation of a lifespan of a human being on this earth for 60 years, because our Prophet ﷺ said that an average lifespan of my ummati is between 60 years and 70 years. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also themselves lived in this physical world for 63 years, and they chose to go from here. They had the choice, and they chose to return to Allah from this world. And previously, different prophets, as well as other people, they lived for hundreds of years, thousands of years. There are some jinn creatures, jinn in the jinn world. Even now, they have hundreds and hundreds of years age, 600 years, 800 years. But the human lifespan has shrinked over time. This is quite well known, that the human lifespan has shrunk, even if you look from a scientific point of view, or scientific evolution of man, whatever they want to say, whatever they want to, whichever way and angle the scientific researchers want to highlight. There is proof to suggest that we have shrunk over time in lifespan and age, and people were even in height as well. People were cavemen, or people were what we would say giants, and if their graves have been dug up, or their remains have been found. Humongous bones, humongous, figures have been found. Even creatures and birds, what we would say dinosaurs, have found. The age span of give you more blessed life in this world. And but if we to live 60 years, or anyone who is near there now, a third of that life, in average, I spent sleeping. Really? Sleeping? 22 years? How did I work that out? Because if we sleep average 8 hours a day, which is, good level, and everybody should, minimum 7 to 8 hours. What do you say about those people who sleep more? That's even more. But if we sleep 8 hours a day, that's a third of the day. Out of 24 hours, 8, 16, 24. So that's a third of a 24-hour day we are sleeping. So a third of our 60 years in average is 20 years, plus or minus. So 22 years is spent in sleep. 13 years, our first early 13 years, which most of us are 13 now, or we're passing, just growing a bit older, are spent in our youth, our childhood. Whichever has passed before us now, if you want to explain it, you can explain in 13 minutes. Is that right? If someone was to say, if I was to say to you, explain to your family members, your parents, or explain to me how you have spent the last 13 years, what's happened, you could do it in 13 minutes. If you have a lot of stories to tell, you can do it in 1.3 hours, meaning 1 hour and 30 minutes. You could do it in, 1.5 hours. You could explain your life. That's 13 years explained in one hour. So life is really fast and really passing by, and the next 13 years will pass by too, very quickly. 15 years, for example, you are going to be learning, working, trying to develop a career, education, which we are doing now. 2 years spent in bath and toilet activities of just refreshment and, reclining and our toiletary needs. This is an average. 1 year is spent in anxiety problems when a person is not enjoying life. A person is having social problems, not easy to find friends, or not having a nice time, too much work to do, not getting a holiday. Only about 5 or 6 years is spent in actual quality living, when you're actually enjoying yourself. Those people who are adults, ask them, they will say this is quite real. This this pie chart is quite not good. It's a quite realistic representation. Let's move on. 1 year is spent passing by, killing time, as I say. Let's move forward. So this is the calculations. If you look at it, it's like that. We're not going to go in it. Don't mind boggle ourselves. But if you have lived 15 years already, which most of us are around about there, you would have lived 1,642 days already. Okay. 6 years, if you're going to have quality life living 6 years on Earth, 6 years times 365 days is only 2,190 days. So you, by this evidence, is suggesting that you have 2,190 days to live quality life. The rest is going to be in education, in work, in sleep, in toilet needs, in problem, in headache. You're not really enjoying time. Just look at the week. How many time do you get? Look at the year. How many holidays do you get where you can actually, relax a little bit? Even in the holidays, we're making you do work. But this is part of our learning. So you're always learning as well. However, how much actual enjoyment time do you have? Play whatever you think enjoyment is, playing games, or just having a nice time with your family, enjoying a good movie, or eating nice food, visiting relatives, going on a holiday outside of town. 2,190 years. If you live 60 years, you're going to have 2,190 days. Out of that, if you've already lived 15, which most of us are near there, we've already passed 1,642. Half of that. If you have lived 30 years, anyone watching, or any of our elders, we only have 1,095 days left. Wow. If we break it down that we've lived 40 years or past, some of our parents are probably there. They have 730 days in average remaining on Earth of quality days to live for themselves. If they have lived 50 years or more, they have approximately 365 days, quality days, remaining for themselves. There could be different circumstances of people, illa mashallah. After we pass from this earth, we go into the world of barzakh, the place where a person will reside in after death until the day of judgment, waiting until the day of resurrection. The qiyamah is known as the barzakh. In other words, the grave. Here the choice of a person has ended. His grave will either, or her grave will either become a garden of bliss, or a pit of fire due to the bad deeds he did in this world. The world of grave exists in a different dimension, a different realm. It's not this world that we are seeing now and experiencing. It's in a different existence. It's a different feel. The human eye cannot see the other side, apart from if Allah wants to show someone. Proof from a hadith about this is that the Prophet ﷺ said, the grave is either the gardens of paradise or one of the pits of the hell. This is in the hadith of Tirmidhi, which is a very popular book. We've read about that. Would the Prophet be living till the day of judgment if he stayed? If the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ chose to stay on the earth, they would be with us until the day of judgment. Yes, they would be with us physically. But they wished to go, and that choice that they made is actually better for us. That was a great choice that they made, and they knew that it will be better for my ummah if I leave, because if they were with us, it would be either much hard for us to follow, and we would be in a very difficult situation and sensitive situation, even more than it is now, because a lot of people who were with them at that time, they were not all Sahaba. There were many unfortunately hypocrites. Yeah. And we also learnt that if we had the choice, we might not be strong in faith, in belief. We're going to close the session in the next 3 minutes by 7 o'clock, so we can all go and eat, inshallah. Let's pause it where it is and take any questions we have. We paused. I'm just going to forward the slides to show you what's coming up next. So for next time, we'll start here. The Day of Judgment, the courts of the Day of Judgment. What's the Day of Judgment going to be like? This is all come up, by the way, this is all come in our Aqidah books. This has all come already in our Tazkiya book. So this is on a presentational view now. Alhamdulillah, take it like it is. Use the slides, use the presentation. I'll forward it now as a PDF. You could have the audio, but you won't need, because I believe so that the video link will also be uploaded. However, because you followed the class, alhamdulillah, you deserve the PDF, and you can just follow the notes, read it. If you do get time and you have very good interest, then read this further reading. Read about the Day of Judgment, the second court, the third court, the life in hell, and the life in paradise, and what every dweller will get. That will be this, and then we'll summarize it again. Let's summarize so far what we've done. Importance of Tazkiya we mentioned, because we took the promises. The journey of man we mentioned. What happened in the period of non-existence for them. The world of spirits, what were the promises? In the temporal world, what the tests we are having, what are the tests, and that we are going to be tested. And that how short this life is, the pie chart. And then we've touched the life of grave. We're going to learn more about the Day of Judgment next life. Paradise and hell, we're going to read upon that in the next session. And alhamdulillah, go to the next slide. So tomorrow, 6 p.m. Is everybody all right for tomorrow, 6 p.m.? Just type in tomorrow, 6 p.m. if you're fine for tomorrow, 6 p.m. Any question you have, you can type between now and tomorrow, 6 p.m. And the choice is yours, means how do we live? Do we follow Allah or do we not? Question and answers. Anybody? You got a minute for questions? Before we can all say Allah Hafiz and we can close the session. I appreciate we started, and thank you very much for attending. May Allah reward you all. That's fine. At 6 tomorrow on time. More on time tomorrow, inshallah. Now that it's set up. Anybody else? Any question? Okay, if there's no question, then Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.